Coach Miller, and welcome to All Marine Fighter, our aftermath edition of the Jaime Munguia versus John Ryder fight. It took place on Saturday. Boy, I like this fight. It was such a great fight, and it was going to set the tone for what was going to happen with Jaime Munguia's career, and ultimately, if John Ryder would lose, and he would, it would ultimately be the end of his career, according to his own words, if he had lost. And so we're going to analyze this fight a little bit and also the future of Jaime Munguia because he's becoming a major thing right now. Now, first thing is first, I have watched Jaime Munguia for some time, for several years now it would be, and I've seen his career kind of come up. Whenever they're able to televise him, I usually catch him fighting Joshua, whoever. I remember when he took his first belt against this little dude from the UK, I believe, and he just completely it was just huge. I can't remember. I think his last name was maybe it was Salam Ali. I can't remember totally, but either way, it was a complete and total utter dominance. But it was a weight class that Munguia was not going to be able to sustain. And as your body gets older, it gets really, it gets a lot tougher to maintain certain weights. And so it was obvious that they were going to start him out low and then bump him up. So then he went to middleweight. Did pretty good there, won a belt there, but then he decided to jump up to 168, which I can't blame him because 168 is kind of where all the good fighters are at right now. A lot of hot competition. And so John Ryder is a good journeyman. He's been a solid contender, just short of getting a belt. He's fought a lot of good fighters, and he is one tough dude. So Munguia fighting this guy was going to be a real test of Munguia's character against toughened, hardened opponents. So it was going to be a real test for him. Munguia's last fight against Derevyanchenko, I was actually at that fight. You can see in it's been a little bit. So it's been in the same playlist for YouTube, but you can see the Derevyanchenko-Munguia fight. And I was actually at that fight there in Ontario. What a great fight that was. It was an awesome fight. And Munguia puts on a pretty good show. Canelo Alvarez really set the tone for a lot of fighters to really understand they need to capitalize on the market if they want to make money and that type of thing. And so, Munguia puts on a real good show. He's got a lot of room to grow, but he commands the Mexican, backing and audience. And so he can make a lot of money if he so chooses, kind of take the Canelo footsteps of being an entertainer. Well, really, actually, Canelo Alvarez learned that from Floyd Mayweather. But that's beside the point. But hey, the masters of the craft, that's how you make some money. But Munguia, technique-wise, skill-wise, he's really come a long way. There's been a few flaws in his defense, more specifically. His offense is really good. I would say that there are times that he can get counterpunched a little easier than most because sometimes his shots are a little wide, more specifically with the body. But sometimes that's needed. He just got to be a little more careful because if he goes up against a solid counterpuncher, counterpunchers can see that a night and day away. Okay, so shortening up those punches, especially with hooks, is really going to help him. But definitely another aspect is that he does have his defense down a little bit, and he takes a little too many punches. He's gone against some hard punchers, but it's going to take that right hard puncher to nail you and rock you. He's been rocked several times. He got rocked against Derevyanchenko. He got rocked against several other opponents. And so you can only take that kind of beating for so long. You got to have a good defense. You got to have that head movement, and you got to keep your hands up. You can't be taking those kind of shots and expect to stay on your feet. Now, what's very important to keep in mind is that John Ryder fought Canelo not that long ago. He was a WBA mandatory, I believe it was. Yeah, it was a WBA. And so Canelo took that mandatory and knocked him down once, but he could not finish him. And to John Ryder's credit, that guy, okay, sure, he's not an elite champion, but that guy is tough. That guy takes some serious shots. So the fact that he still remains standing after just taking serious punishment from Canelo is something else, okay? So kudos to that guy. But still, Munguia, right off the bat at the beginning of this fight, man, round number two, Ryder gets knocked down by Munguia. Now, there was one knockdown from Munguia. It was not after the first knockdown. I believe it was the second one where Munguia caught Ryder in between punching and his stepping, so he was like off balance, and he caught him beautifully. I remember when I used to fight, that's happened to me a couple times where somebody caught me just at the right moment, off balance, like in between a punch or something, and got knocked in my rear end. Was I hurt? No, but guess what? That could count as a knockdown. Never happened to me in a fight. It only happened to me in sparring. But that's what kind of happened to Ryder. He got caught in between and he got knocked down. But hey, that's a knockdown. That's an 8 count. That's a loss on the scorecard. Munguia's basics were on point for this fight. And I have to say that there were spurts where Ryder really pressed Munguia. And Munguia bit down that gum shield and came right back at him and just kind of turned the mode of offense around back on Ryder. And what I mean by his fundamentals, like for instance, he had beautiful, crisp combinations. And I'm talking like he will go 1, 1, 2, and then follow up with a 3, either to the head or to the body. Beautiful. And he would follow up with these different combinations. And really, that's kind of what we're missing in a lot of young fighters. They get the one shot here, or maybe the 1-2 or whatever, just kind of pop shotting. So seeing an actual combination puncher is kind of refreshing. And that's exactly what Jaime Munguia was for this fight. And he's growing more to be, because that's ultimately what's going to win you fights. And hey, that's what he had to learn against Derevyanchenko, because Derevyanchenko took him to task on that exactly. And so he learned a little bit, especially from that fight. Really did that to Ryder, and it worked very, very well for him. Ultimately, everything will culminate to round 9, where Munguia will give an overhand right and put Ryder down, and that was all she wrote. They stopped the fight, and that was it. And that's a huge accomplishment, because he got stopped before, but it was kind of like a controversial stoppage in a way where he wasn't really knocked out or anything. So for him to get dominated the way that he did and get put down because of hard, solid punching, that was quite an accomplishment on Munguia's side. And this is something that Canelo did not do. Now, there are people who can argue that maybe Ryder took a lot of punishment from Canelo, and that just opened him a lot more to, get knocked down with Munguia. Look, there is truth to that, but still, it was back-to-back fights. Maybe. But still, Ryder has had some pretty tough fights back-to-back, and nobody's ever done that to him. So I'm definitely not going to be the one to rob Munguia of such a great win. So that being said, what's up for Munguia? Everybody's crying out for Canelo versus Munguia now. Well, I don't know about everybody, but it's a larger cry now, especially amongst the Hispanic market. But I do think that would be a great fight. But as you're going to see in another video that I'm about to make, Canelo needs to fight some other mandatories and another monster that's in that division that he keeps dodging and running from, named David Benavidez. But I got a video about that. And hey, look, and this is coming from a Canelo fan, so you Canelo fans, calm down, okay? I like Canelo. He's like the only fighter that I have literally paid to watch fight a lot through the years. I mean, he's the only fighter that I've ever gone on my way to go watch his fight. So I am a legitimate fan. But he needs to fight David Benavidez. But anyway, I'll make a more detailed video about that and the scope of the 168-pound division. It's just really hot right now, a lot of competition. So Munguia does have just within the top 10. He could take David Morrell. He could take other fighters. I mean, that division right now is super hot. So he could build himself up more, because Canelo's going to be quite a test for him if he would just walk in and fight Canelo right now, because it's going to be a little tough. He still has some things to work on, but there are some other fighters in the division I think that can really, polish him for that massive fight with Canelo. So anyways, we'll see what happens. There'll be a lot of chatter and people saying, oh, this or that or whatever. But whenever you see a contract, then that's when you know it's final. So we'll see what Canelo does here in the near future with his opponent, whether it's going to be Charlo or whoever is going to be. I'm excited for Munguia's next fight and who is going to be, and it's just the nature of the 168-pound division right now. If you like these videos, go and click that like button. Of course, if you're not subscribed, click that subscribe button. Until next time, stay motivated.